Hello and welcome to the From the Finney podcast with me, Jake.
And me, Ollie. Hi, Jake.
Hello. You alright?
Yeah, not bad.
So, this week, we're going to give our thoughts on the first full week of pre-season training and the 3 games that we've played. We'll also go into as much detail as we can and talk about what we know surrounding Callum Robinson's exit to Sheffield United. We'll talk replacements, what we know about the offer from Sheffield United, and of course, we'll talk about David Nugent. How do you, mate? Are you alright?
Yeah, not bad. I had a good day today in the sun. Yeah,
it was enjoyable.
Yeah, good win as well.
Very, very enjoyable. So, yeah, as the listeners might have gathered, we're Danless this week. He's got family commitments and couldn't make the Fylde game with us earlier today. And obviously he's missing out on this tonight. And I think this is probably one episode that he'll be gutted he's missed out on, but we're thinking of you, Dan.
Yeah, you're in my heart tonight, Dan. He's going to be gutted about Mr. Nugent chat, to be fair.
Yeah, he will be. Definitely will be. So, pre-season. Week 1 is week 1, really, isn't it? You can't really...
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago since the Bama Bridge game, to be fair.
Already. Yeah, it does.
But, yeah.
It really does.
3 decent performances. Not conceded a goal, so pretty much all you can ask for. And I don't think we've got any injuries from the week.
No. Yeah, so I don't think anyone. There was only Harrop, wasn't there, who came off against Cork, but he was back today against Fylde.
Yeah, he seems fine.
Yeah, and he looks fine.
Good to see Patrick Barr and obviously Maguire for the first time today.
Yeah,
and Maguire just looks as sharp as he's ever done.
Yeah, he does.
Obviously, it's only against Fylde, but he looks. So does Bowden. To be fair, looks very sharp as well.
Thing is, as well,
so that was good to see.
Sean Maguire won't be having to play catch up as much as the other lads coming back, because obviously he had an extended period of playing with Ireland at the end of the season. So even though he has
just had probably managed him quite well.
Yeah. Is it Mondays? I think that he gets off training now in the season.
I don't know, but he definitely. I think he only trains 3 days a week.
Yeah, just to try and manage something like hamstrings.
That. Yeah, but his pace looked. Obviously, he was against slow defenders today. He gave the centre back a nightmare, but he had too much pace for him all. So he looks very sharp and 3 good finishes.
That second goal from him when Ben Davies played the ball over the top, that little burst of pace over the.
Yeah, he does that well. He drops in and then he spins off really well.
No, he looked impressive today. I was quite happy with. Obviously, like you said, it's against like non-league defenders, but no, I was quite pleased. And then I
think the best thing about today was Ben Pearson just not giving a fuck at all and just absolutely going through one of their players after 5 minutes.
He doesn't know how to give a fuck, really, does he?
Yeah, best player on the pitch by far today.
Yeah, I would comfortably agree with that.
Far too easy for him. Probably the easiest 45 minutes or 60 minutes that he's had. I
think, talking of good players on the pitch, Billy Bowden looked impressive.
Yeah. Let's just call him Bill.
Your best mate.
Absolutely love it.
Bill.
Yeah. Honestly, pre-season last season as well, people were saying they couldn't see him be an important player. But I think it's early days still, but it's hard to not see him starting against Millwall because he's just so good. I think he's going to be an important player.
Yeah,
and with Maguire as well. Him and Maguire have a good understanding as well.
Yeah, their performance on that side today was just a pleasure to watch. They were interchanging quite often, and Bill, like I said, looked very sharp. And
it's good for us because they were obviously last pre-season. I think they were two. I think we had Robinson on the left, Maguire up front, Bowden on the right.
Yeah, it felt like
they would have probably started.
It felt like we'd almost like pinned everything or worked on sort of all our attacking options around those 3.
Yeah,
And then obviously on the eve of the season to have Shawnee and Bill miss out.
yeah,
I know Shawnee came back later on in the season, but he was never the same player.
yeah. And I think what we did last season with Robinson as the narrower forward on the left and Barkey on the right, wider, I think we might swap that around. So I think we might see Bowden on the right, and
Yeah,
you might see Barkey on the left as a way of fitting them both in.
yeah, I could see that. Could
So
definitely see
that could be a shout, because I just can't see Bowden not starting. And obviously he looks fit, and you can't tell that he's been out for a season, can you? So
No, from looking at him today,
probably
and the game against Bamber Bridge, not that I remember much of the second half when he played, but from watching the second half of the Cork game as well,
yeah,
like you said, he looks like he's never missed a game.
yeah. And the thing I didn't realise as well, the thing I didn't realise about Bowden was his right foot's quite strong as well. He can go on both feet.
Yeah,
Puts a lot of
well, today he was
crosses
pumping in
in.
crosses quite
Yeah,
a lot, wasn't he, with his right
yeah.
foot?
So he can go both ways. So he's going to be a big player.
Yeah,
He's going to be a very big player, I think. I think obviously Brown's been a bit quiet so far. Barkey's probably been a bit quiet as well, but we've definitely got good options there. Obviously, Ginelli's been
definitely.
quite sharp, but he had a bit of a quieter game today. But definitely
Yeah,
options.
he felt like he was hardly on the pitch
Yeah,
today.
everything went through
It
Bill.
was only toward. Yeah, it did. It was probably more toward the time that he got brought. Well, not just him, but when Alex Neil made all the changes today, that he started to felt like he started to come into the game a little bit more, but still not massively. But then, and I kind of alluded to this in the piece that I've written for the website on Friday, that people judging him off a half against Bamber Bridge and a half against
Yeah,
Cork City and saying that he's going to be the Callum Robinson replacement that we need when Robbo contributed to nearly a fifth of our goals last season. Well, over a fifth of our goals. He scored. He scored just under a fifth of
Yeah,
our goals, but if you take his assists into it, then he's contributed over a fifth of our
yeah.
goals.
I can't
And
see Alex Neil asking that much of Ginelli, but
I think we'll probably see Ginelli, if he doesn't go out on loan, treated the way that Jordan Story was last year.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, but
He'll be
the thing
given
is as
starts in
well,
the cup. He'll come on as a sub and all that sort of
yeah,
stuff.
the thing is with a winger, you can integrate him a lot more easier, can't you, than a centre back? So
Yeah,
if we're chasing a game, um, there's no harm in just throwing him on the last 10 minutes or whatever, because he is very sharp. He can make an impact in 10 minutes probably. So
yeah.
I
Well,
hope he stays. To be fair, this season.
yeah, I'd like to see him stay, but he's by no means going to be a replacement for Robinson.
No, don't think so. No, maybe long
Definitely
term,
not.
but
But
not this season.
maybe long term, but yeah, not this
Yeah.
season. But we'll come on to that in a bit, I think.
Yeah. What do you think
Well,
of Bauer? What did you think of Bauer today?
yeah, I like the look of him. Calm
Yeah.
on the ball. I noticed a few times when he sort of stepped up the pitch with the ball at his feet that he looked a little bit frustrated at times when there was seemed to be a lack of movement in front of him
Yeah.
in terms of passing options, and a few of his passes went astray, which
Yeah.
I would imagine people noticed. I saw after I don't know if it was the Cork game or the Brig game. I think it was the Brig game. People saying, "Oh, he didn't look that good," and blah blah blah. But
I think
he's just
defensively,
moved.
yeah, just obviously
He's
just
just
settling
moved up
in.
here from
Yeah.
London. He's still settling in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether it's against Bamber Bridge or bloody Bayern Munich. It's gonna
Well,
be you're gonna have a
probably would
settling
matter,
period.
but
Well,
yeah.
you get my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, on the ball, he looks very calm.
Yeah, I think defensively is immense. Like in the air, positionally.
Mm.
I think in terms of on the ball, it's more a case of understanding what Neil wants from his centre back.
Yeah,
Because if you look at Ben Davies today, he steps in, he either passes to the full back to feet, or you'll get Maguire spinning off, or he'll find Pearson. Bauer seemed to just run into trouble a bit, but obviously still early days.
Yeah.
But very solid defender.
It'll come eventually,
I
won't
think
it?
it's going to be a good signing. So yeah,
Yeah, no,
he's been
I
fine.
completely agree. Completely agree. And talking of centre backs, I think Story looked like the story that we saw last season in the second half.
Yeah, I think Story's definitely developed physically over summer. You can tell.
Yeah, he's
Um,
bulked out quite a bit.
yeah, I think to be fair, it's going to be a good. Obviously, Ben Davies is going to start every game, you'd think, but it's going to be a good battle for that right-hand sided spot.
Yeah, it gives us options, and whether Ben Davies starts most games or Story does, it gives Alex Neil the opportunity to give one of them a rest every now and then.
Yeah, I'm thinking more. It's going to be Bauer's going to start sort of. I think he's going to start the
On the
season.
right-hand
Bauer,
side.
yeah, I think he's going to start, but just interesting to see what happens.
I think that team that played today, I think barring maybe 2 or 3 changes, I think for the most part that team will be the team that starts against Millwall in 2.5 weeks, 2-3 weeks time.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what we do at Millwall, because obviously Maguire started up front there last season, and we just pressed him to death. Which we don't normally do against teams that are direct, which was quite interesting. We normally set off teams that are more direct, but I think it was Maguire, Brown, Barkey. I can't remember who started on the left, but we just pressed him. And first 30 minutes...
I know Gallagher played because he played that ball through to Maguire.
Yeah, first 30 minutes we were 3-0 up, weren't we? So yeah, I think today's you're probably right. It's going to be obviously Fisher, if he's fit, you'd expect to come in. And obviously, I think Barkey will probably start most games, won't he, as well? So
well, Ginelli played out on that side that, like we said, that we could see Barkey playing in, so that's an option. Or again, we'll come to it in a bit, or whoever we bring in to replace Callum Robinson, whether they're someone that can come in and start straight away, or whether they have to wait. But there's options on that left hand side, definitely.
Yeah, the thing is now, with the players we've got now, there are genuine options to either press, set up with obviously Brown, Potts, Barkey, and then Maguire, or you can go a bit more sort of technical. So you got Harrop, Bodin, Ginelli, and then you can play off Stockley. So there are, because if you think about the last season, probably February, March, April. We literally had one way of playing. We had 11 players pretty much who were going to start. So now we've actually got genuine options, and in game as well. You can change it in game now. So I think people probably underrating the squad a little bit.
Yeah, I think I've probably been guilty of that at points this pre-season as well. But I think after seeing obviously the game today and the 2 during the week, I'm starting to. I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to have a reminder, isn't it, of what you actually already have. Yeah,
rather than 10 players out.
Yeah.
And you've also got Fisher and Potts obviously to come back in.
Well, they're going to be in over the next week or 2, aren't they?
Yeah, a certain number 35 is probably going to make the squad, and
you would imagine so.
Then you're probably going to have a keeper, and then maybe a wide player coming in. So there's probably going to be 26, 27, 28 players. So we need to obviously ship a few out.
Yeah, I think.
But as long as we don't get like a freak 9, 10, 11 injuries, the squad's going to be very competitive. So I'm looking forward to it. To be fair, we're looking quite strong.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm starting to become more quietly confident about the season.
Yeah, everyone's a bit annoyed about the lack of activity, but obviously what we're going to speak about with Robinson going, I think before the Southampton game. So is that on Saturday?
Yeah. Week today.
I'd hope we have. Obviously, we're going to sign. Everyone knows who we're going to sign, but I'd hope we have another in as well before that. So, and then that gives us probably a squad of 25. So yeah,
I think
that should be an
25,
interesting
26
game.
is a good number though, isn't it? Because
It
you would
is.
imagine in that you've got maybe 2 or 3 sort of fringe players, squad players, the likes of Ginelli and like Story was last season, and then
Yeah,
you'd imagine everywhere else you'd have 2 players competing for every position then.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then you've also got the young lads. So probably gonna O'Reilly, Baxter,
And Jack Armour.
Simpson. Yeah. So you'd assume they'd all go out on loan.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And then you've got probably Burke. Um,
Burke will
and
definitely
then
go in.
yeah, and then if obviously if Nugent comes in, you'd probably worry for Malt a little bit. And if obviously a keeper comes in, you'd probably worry for Rudd a little bit as well. But everyone else I can see staying around. Also, an interesting thing today, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but obviously Rudd just not getting on the pitch. But I'm not sure if he's going to play the full 90 on Tuesday or.
I think you're probably reading into that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was strange that he warmed up, but he didn't come on. So obviously,
did he warm up?
Yeah, he was warming up. But I thought Ripley looked fine today. Did okay.
Yeah, he had a decent game, made a few decent saves. There was that one toward the end where he tipped it over the bar just before we left. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah. So if he's going to be the number 2, then I'm fine with that.
One thing I don't understand as well is people saying that he needs to lose a bit of weight. He's just a stocky lad.
And I got to admit today, I thought, because obviously we were right behind the goal. He came over for the ball, and I thought, like, come on now, like. But I don't know. Maybe that is how he is. But
what, you thought he needed to maybe drop a bit?
Yeah, he's got a bigger ass than me.
Yeah, but I genuinely didn't think he did. I just think he's just
he's just a wide lad, isn't he, at the back? So
yeah.
But he's fine. He looks better with his trim now, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, if he stays around, that's fine. Like,
well, he will be doing, won't he? He only came in January, so can't see him going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, so just
and not Rudd. Neil seems to have had this thing about not really settling on a keeper in his time here, so
yeah. Well,
you would
anyway,
suspect that there'll be one coming in.
Yeah, that's if you had to pin Neil down as one of his main weaknesses as a coach, you'd probably say his handling of goalkeepers. So no matter who we bring in, it's going to be interesting to see if he actually sticks with a number 1 for sort of 40 games. And that's obviously really important for the defence. So
yeah, it makes them a little bit more settled and probably, I would imagine, feel more comfortable.
Yeah, but the defence itself is obviously Hughes, Davis, Bauer, and then Fisher. That's quite a strong defence. So no matter who's behind them, they should be quite solid.
Yeah, no, I think that'll stand us in pretty good stead next season.
Yeah, and also one last thing as well was obviously when you got Davis, Bauer, Story, and Clark, and then Hunt came on today and he just can't get off the ground. So I'm not sure if he's going to go, but I just can never see him getting on the pitch.
You struggle to see where his opportunities would come.
Yeah. I think it's the fifth choice now.
Story, Bauer, Davis, and then Clark as an option on the right, and Clark as an option at centre back.
Yeah.
You would put Hunt after all of them. So if he's 5th choice,
so
then you could say I'm getting my wish from the first podcast that we did, saying that I think we should have 5 centre backs. But
yeah, this is the thing though. Because there's going to be 2 centre backs in the stand every week, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I don't see the value in keeping Hunt around. And obviously, if he wants to play games, then I don't think the club will stand in his way. But was that the first pod that when we were talking about the centre backs? I don't see the value in keeping 5, but we'll see. It just makes us a bit heavy in the defensive side of it, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And for anyone that hasn't listened to Pod One, my point was that I would like us to have brought in a fifth to do what Story did last season and be a young centre back, not do what Hunts is probably going to do this season and be an elder statesman, if you will, and someone that probably needs to keep playing games before his career tails off too quickly.
Yeah. So interesting to see what happens with that. Probably nothing imminent in terms of Hunt's going, but it might be one that we look at in Jan. Obviously, if it's not going to be used, then reassess in Jan. But better having too many than too little.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's better to have too much and not need it than not have enough and need it, because there's nothing to say that we won't repeat what we've done the last 2 seasons and end up with a stupid amount of injuries again, in which case there's going to be an opportunity for Hunts.
Yeah, so we'll just see.
Well, provided that defensive injuries, of course, but yeah. Cool. Are you happy with that, mate?
Yeah, I think that covers first week of pre-season quite nicely.
Yeah, I would say it does.
So,
sweet.
Welcome back to the From the Finney podcast. Thanks for staying with us. So now, obviously, the word on everyone's lips this week has been Callum Robinson. So part 2, we're going to talk about the offer, the bid that was accepted, people's opinions on what's going to happen now in terms of replacements and spending, and how we're going to cope without who I thought was our best attacker last season. So obviously the bid, no one knows exactly. The LEPs said around 8 million, haven't they? But
yeah,
I've heard that Peony.
I think that's been widely reported in the media as well, hasn't it? As a whole.
I think in terms of Peony's actual what they're going to make from it, taking away the Villa thing, I think it's about 6 million, which I'm sure you'll find a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, considering the type of player that he was, and like I already said in part 1, he contributed to a fifth of our goals last season.
Yeah, and obviously he was out for 3 months as well.
Yeah, which he finished with, what was it, 12 goals?
12 or 13, yeah.
And that, like you said, you missed like a third of the season, so you could only I think most people would be correct in assuming that would be a lot closer to 20 had he stayed fit for the full season.
To be honest, I think if he'd stayed fit, I think he probably would have had 25 goals and assists together.
Yeah.
And then he'd be sort of talked about in the same bracket as Harry Wilson, Neil Maupay, everyone else getting linked with sort of a big move.
Yeah,
so honestly, I think he was
£1 million move.
For me, obviously behind Harvey Barnes, who was here first half of last season, I'd say Robbo was probably my best attacker in the whole division last season. Obviously slightly biased, but I just think he's Premier League quality.
Yeah, I have to say it's the one thing that I've taken out of him leaving is I am really looking forward to seeing how he does next season in the Prem.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of North End fans will probably feel the same.
Yeah, to be fair, I've never seen as many fans wish a player as well as they have Robbo. You normally get quite a lot of bitter fans, don't you? Obviously, with Hugo, people were. Yeah, it's in contrast to obviously when Hugo left.
Definitely.
But I've literally seen hundreds of fans and also players on Instagram and whatnot wishing him well. So I think he was an unbelievable sort of character to have around.
Well, yeah, the one thing that seems to have been commonplace through all the well-wishing messages has been keep playing with that smile on your face.
Yeah, we've touched on that before as well.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the piece that I wrote about him and his time here Deepdale in the last 4 or 5 years is that he's just always happy, always smiling.
Just loves kicking the ball, doesn't he? So
Yeah,
but
young lad doing what he loves.
Yeah, obviously quite good that we've got it done fairly early still. Obviously middle of July, so it's better that it didn't tick down towards August kind of thing and then scrambling about.
Because we'd have been stuck between a rock and a hard place at that point. Do we keep him till January and accept an even smaller offer in the January transfer window, or do we let him go?
Yeah.
And again, accept a smaller offer now and like the last few days of the transfer window.
Yeah, I think it's probably the sensible time to sell now. Obviously, probably just wanting a bit more cash, but if that sets the wheels in motion,
no, it makes sense.
Yeah, if that sets the wheels in motion if that sets the wheels in motion for kind of bringing 2, 3, 4 in, then that's fine with me.
Yeah, no, same. Absolutely agree, and that seems like that's what it's done, really.
I think, yeah, obviously you'd assume so, with what's been said in the last 48 hours. So should be an interesting.
For me, the amount that we received for him, I was still a little, like you said, the actual money that North End have ended up with after fees have been paid out to other clubs and all that sort of stuff. It still is a little bit disappointing, in my opinion. I think we could have had a lot more than that. I know earlier in the window we apparently quoted Fulham around double that, which on the one hand I am glad that we didn't strengthen an immediate rival for the coming league season, but you'd think with him going to a Premier League club and the money going around, like Ezri Konsa's just gone to Villa for what, 12, 13 million pounds? And good player, but you would have thought that Robinson would have been in that bracket as well.
I see what you mean. I see what you're saying. Obviously, Bournemouth was talked about for 12 mil as well, but the thing about I think the club's policy is if there's Championship interest, then we just quote them a ridiculous
stupid amount.
Apparently Stoke were interested in Pearson last summer, and I think we just quoted a silly amount, and then they didn't even make a bid, which I have no problem with, to be fair, because it's
good policy to have, isn't it?
Because obviously the last 18 months now we've sold 3 players to the Premier League, and obviously they can't help a team against us.
So Cunningham, Hugo, and now Robinson. So
and obviously it's not worked out for the other 2. So I hope it works. I'm pretty confident, it'll work out for Robinson.
I think it will.
Out of the 3. So it's a good move really for all.
That's nearly 20 million that we've made in the last 2 seasons selling players. If Cunningham was 3.5, Hugo was about 10, and Robinson about 6.
Yeah, you'd say about 20 million.
It's not bad business, that, considering.
Well, I think obviously there's a lot of people. The club get a lot of flack about the way they go about the policies. But if them 3 players were probably signed for £200,000,
much less than $500,000.
And then you're selling them for 10. You're selling them for, my maths is bad here, is it 100 times that or 10 times that?
Well, it was more than that we paid for him, because we paid 170 for Robinson.
Yeah,
and Cunningham was about 100.
No, Greg was free.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, Greg was free, and Hugo was like 10k.
25 grand, I think Hugo was, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, 25k. Yeah, I'm getting this down.
Yeah, you're probably right then. 200 grand.
Yeah, and then you sold it for 20 mil. And that's just about scouting. It's about patience, and it's about Alex Neil developing players. And you're looking at the next 12 months. You've got Brown in the last year, Pearson in the last year. There's going to be interesting Davis as well, yeah. So you're probably looking at another 20, 30 mil there.
If we can't get them signed on to new deals, which you'd like to hope we could.
So the squad now, if you think about what it was bought for and what it's worth, it's probably, in terms of like buying and then selling for profit. It's probably the most profitable squad in the division, or very close to.
I don't know. I reckon Brentford have run us close.
Maybe, but if you look at what they've spent, probably spent about, in the last 5 years, a good 20 million.
Yeah,
They
but
do it without people realising.
They've sold Conte. Not where.
Yeah,
Did he
they
go
sold
from
Conte.
Brentford?
Yeah, Conte was at Brentford, yeah.
Yeah, of course he was. They sold Chris Metham to Bournemouth in January.
Yeah, yeah.
That was about 15 mil. There's talk of Neil Maupay going for 25 mil, but I think that price is putting a lot of people off because he's been rumoured with an exit for weeks and it still hasn't happened. So you
Yeah, I
can
think
only
that'll be one of those that sort of ticks down and then they'll drop to sort of 10, 15 mil, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying with Brentford as well. Obviously, that's what a lot of people want PNE to do now.
It's
Because if
never
you
going
look
to happen though.
probably not to that extent.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. To that
But
extent, it's just never going to happen. We're never going to go out
yeah,
and splash
and they
£5-6 million on a player.
yeah, I like the way they look at. I think they bought someone in from Denmark this week as well, and someone who was in Serie A. So
Yeah, well, they brought in Pontus Jansson. I think the young lad was um, someone Janssen as well. I think, but En, not Owen.
Jensen, yeah, Jensen,
Jensen, that's it.
centre mid, who played in
Yeah,
Serie A. Yeah,
young player, and they like 20, 21, 22.
yeah. But the sort of the similarities and contrast between Peony and Brentford showed that there's kind of two ways to do it, and we both get similar finishes in the table, don't we? So there's no right
Yeah,
or wrong way. But I think we'll both be sort of pushing for top six. So
yeah.
quite
Well, a
like
lot of
Brentford.
people had us both pushing for top six last season as well, and obviously
Yeah,
we fell away quite a
different
bit.
reasons,
Mm.
weren't it? Obviously they lost Dean Smith, and
And
if
then
Dean Smith was there the whole season, I'm pretty sure they would have been top six.
yeah, and the new guy Thomas Frank took a while to settle in, and
Yeah, he's obviously changed system now to three at the back as well.
yeah,
But yeah, obviously without Robbo, there's been people saying, obviously not being bitter, but saying obviously we did better without him because of the sort of 12 games unbeaten, won 8, drawn 4.
yeah, and then we had that
Um,
six game winning streak away from home as well.
yeah. So what would you say to that? We did better without him.
Well, in the immediate 10 games after we lost Robinson, we only won 2, and we drew 3, and then we lost 5. So,
Yeah,
and prior to him going, the 8 games before he left, we won 4 and drew 4. So it doesn't take a
yeah.
mathematician to work out
I think
based off that.
yeah, I think obviously that speaks for itself. Obviously the 10 games after, but the thing that I find important about this argument is sort of differentiating between home and away form.
Mm,
Because obviously Robinson, did he play any of the 6 away games in a row? He didn't play any, did he?
no,
That
don't
we
think he
won.
did.
And if you look sort of how we set up in them games, obviously got Barkey, Brown, Nemechu played up front a few times, and then yeah, you had Potts.
Gallagher away at
And
Bolton,
then
he played
yeah,
it
Gally was
inside off the left.
yeah, that little tactical tweak. But if you look at that, that's pretty much just pressing teams to death. Basically, that's
Mm.
what it is.
It's just
But
energy, isn't it? Legs all over the place.
yeah, but so obviously we won them 6 in a row. But I looked at the home games. I think Robbo missed 11 or 12 home games, and we won 3 of those. So that's obviously 25% win record,
Mm.
which
And
is
even one of them, the Birmingham game was only just
yeah. So you got the Birmingham
right
game,
at
which was a 94th minute Sean Maguire header from a corner. The Norwich game, which was essentially an away game in the way that we set up.
yeah. It was weird to watch that at home.
Yeah,
Um,
because that was literally an away game for us. The way we pressed and just transitioned, and then there was the Millwall game which we won, and that's the only game that we sort of really broke a team down. So
yeah.
So 12 home games is half a season at home, and we've won one game pretty much out of those 12 from creativity. So that is a massive worry going into next season.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing that he brought to the side was he enabled us to sort of try and break teams down who would come and sit deep and
Yeah, I think
things difficult.
the most important thing for me about Robinson is positioning in the half space, which for anyone listening is just them little pockets of space between the midfield, the defence, and the fullbacks, and you've got to make the fullback make a decision, and then you got obviously Hughes overlapping, or he cuts inside, he gets a shot away, and no one else in the squad last season could really do that. They're more sort of runners, but obviously now we've got Harrop back, we've got Bowden back, and they're both not the same player, but more similar in terms of the positions that they're going to take.
We saw Harrop play similar against Bamber Bridge in the first half.
Yeah, obviously
on the left.
Yeah, we spoke about if he could be an option there, which I'm not 100% about, but I think he's the most similar. Well, I'd say Bowden's the most similar, but obviously he's left-footed, so you'd have to kind of swap it around.
Yeah.
But there's no
Which is
doubt.
how it looked today. It looked a little bit like with Janelli out on the left and then Bowden.
Yeah, a bit more
like that was what he was trialling almost today.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. But
for me, a game that springs to mind of Robinson doing what he does best is that Ipswich game. Now, I know, again, I mentioned it, I think, in a piece that I've written, and people I suspect will probably be like, well, it was Ipswich, they're shit, they're bottom of the table, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the way that he's, like you said, he sat in them pockets of space, and the 2 goals that he scored were prime examples of him doing what he does best.
I think there you see the pure quality that he's got there in them 2 goals.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know about them 2 goals. Just absolute quality. And if you look at where they were both scored from as well, they're both from the middle of the pitch, pretty much. And you just can't teach that sort of positioning. That's just game understanding that. And
like watching Bill today, the way that he moves around the pitch.
Yeah, honestly, it is just like watching Bill. But I think Bill's
some, doesn't it?
Yeah, Bill's just. I'm not going to say the most natural with the ball at his feet, but that I've seen. But he's definitely up there. He just got the ball under control instantly. But yeah, the home thing is a slight concern. But that goes back to last season as well. Neil's hands were just tied, weren't they?
Yeah.
So you'd think this season we won't struggle as much at home. And then obviously
if we manage to keep injury free.
Yeah, if we manage to keep injury free, yeah. So, but he's going to be a miss. You can't sort of not miss a player like that. But it's just one of those things that we've got to accept and get a replacement in. I've seen people say we don't need to bring anyone in, which I just purely disagree with.
I say to that, Ollie?
What?
I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. But yeah, no, we do. We absolutely need to bring a replacement in. And one that seems to be doing the rounds. Probably not a lot of people have, unless they've listened to the pod or read our content, it seems like not a lot of people are too aware of him. But Ashley Hunter at Fleetwood.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know why this is doing the rounds, because I mentioned it probably first about 2 weeks ago. And
if not more.
Yeah, maybe 3 weeks ago, but since then it seems to have gathered a bit of pace, which I don't know why, unless there's a bid in for him, which would be surprising. But I agree. People have been saying, because we put a tweet out the other day and someone said, if that's a level we're at, then I'm done with PNE. Or something along those lines.
And And someone else said another washed-up striker who's never scored more than 9 goals in League One
Yeah.
in his whole career.
The thing is, for a start, he's only 23 years old.
No, he's 22.
Is he 22? Yeah. So he's.
Yeah, I'm sure he's 22.
So he's 22 years old. He might not have scored more than 9 goals in a season, but he's not a striker for a start. And I think he got 9. Did he get 9 assists as well? 10 assists last season as well.
10 assists. Yeah.
So he's contributed to 20 goals pretty much last season.
Yeah, eight goals and 10 assists last season.
Yeah. So obviously, I know people don't like XG and XA and pressing stats.
Do you want to just give an overview of what they are for anyone that doesn't know? That's listening to this. So what the hell is XG and XA?
So XG, expected goals, which has come into the game in the last couple of seasons.
I'd say probably last season, really.
Yeah,
has come to the fore,
mainstream in the last season. But it's what clubs use now to identify targets. So XG is every shot you have has an XG rating going from 0 to 1 based on where you have the shot from, sort of the trajectory of the shot, if it's on your weak foot or your strong foot, the pace on the shot, the location, the time you have. So it's basically a way of measuring how likely you are to score from a shot. And obviously the higher your XG is, then the more positions you're getting in, the better your quality of shots are. And you genuinely see that your XG pretty much lines up with your actual goals across a season. And XA is pretty much the same, but in terms of assists. So the quality of pass you play, the location of pass. So it could be a quality of cross, etc. And then you've got the pressing stats. So you got defensive actions per 90 minutes, which is basically just presses from forwards, which is obviously everyone knows is really important for Alex Neil.
Yeah.
And he tops all them, basically, for League One, for his age.
Yeah, I think there was 8 players who had similar stats to Hunter last season, and there was only Ashley Hunter and 2 others that were under 23s out of those 8. And then for a bit more, so Ashley Hunter's stats were 8 goals from an XG of 6.53, 10 assists from an XA of 6.29. And then for some further context, if you will, the only under 23 players in the championship to register similar XA and XG stats were Daniel James, who is obviously now at Man United, and Emi Buendia at Norwich, who are also now in the Prem.
Yeah.
And then in the Premier League, there was only Leroy Sané that managed to post similar numbers. And I think everyone knows how good a player he is. So, and I'm not saying Aston is going to come in and be as good as Leroy Sané. Of course I'm not, because I'm not an idiot.
Of course.
But
the sort of golden rule
is,
the golden rule is sort of per 90 minutes. If you get an XA of 0.2, an XG of 0.2, then you're sort of creating a goal and assist every 5 games at least. Which sounds complicated, but basically he's passing all the stats tests, which is what a lot of clubs now use. And then you've got to pass the eye test as well, which is obviously the most important thing. And he does pass the eye test because technically, obviously you can't tell from stats how good someone is technically, but he's positionally, but he's very good technically, and he gets into good narrow positions from wide as well. Good age.
Yeah, no, if he did come in, I'd be I wouldn't say excited, but I'd be very happy.
Yeah, I'd be buzzing, me, to be fair. He's pretty much been my number 1 replacement for Robinson since it.
Well, I remember you saying, I think it was maybe the first week after the season finished.
Yeah.
You sent me a list of players that you were like, I'd like to see us maybe try and get these, or these are players I'd like to see us bring in.
Yeah.
And I think you sent me about maybe 2 or 3 different ones. through that first week, 10 days in Ashland, who was on pretty much every one of them.
Yeah, so that's why I want him, and obviously I don't know how much he costs, and I don't know if the club has actual interest in him, but I'd be disappointed if they didn't, and I'm pretty sure they do. So,
you would imagine that he wouldn't come cheap because
I don't know,
Andy Pilley at Fleetwood is, well, he's a businessman, isn't he? So he's not going to let one of his.
I don't know if they've ever sold players to
in the million.
Yeah, obviously they got Jamie Vardy about 5-6 years ago, but I can't think of if they've ever sold a player to a championship club. Doesn't ring a bell.
No, nothing really jumps out.
But they've signed 2 wingers already, Fleetwood. They signed Josh Morris, he was a Preston lad, was at Scunthorpe, and they've signed another winger. So they must be making sort of movements just in case. So if we don't get him, I'll be disappointed, to be fair. So things should start moving now anyway.
Yeah, I think the next week, 10 days is going to be interesting, and I think that's all going to be kick-started with one name that's been on everyone's lips for the last 48 hours or so, 24 hours.
Who's that?
I didn't see anyone particular in the crowd today at Fylde.
Trevor Hemmings was there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, sat next to him.
Sitting next to an old man today, Trevor Hemmings.
No, sitting next to him was a certain Mr. Nugent, not Ted.
He looks old. He looks old. Nugent does. Honestly, he looks old. He's a bit of a silver fox.
Bit of grey coming in the beard.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. But obviously, there's arguments.
It's almost 12 years to the day. I think it was 12 years to the day 2 days ago on the 11th that he left for Portsmouth. So obviously nothing's been announced today. Whether anything gets announced tomorrow or whether it'll be into next week. But obviously it seems like it's happening. I've
rarely seen the club being so blasé about.
It's weird, isn't it?
Having a signing just in the stands, sitting next to the owner.
Like the crowd were chanting at him today and all that sort of stuff, and it was. Yeah,
it was nice to see though. But it was a bit odd for Finney. Yeah. So you'd imagine now, if that's all sort of been done today, you'd imagine he's signed.
You can't.
I don't understand why it's not been announced yet, but it'll be.
You can't imagine, you'd imagine a player who they're not going to sign, especially someone like Nugent, to sit in the stands and watch a game and then just not sign him.
Yeah, so you'd imagine tomorrow, Sunday or Monday, and I hope it doesn't happen on Monday because I'll be in my graduation and I'll miss the Twitter frenzy.
Yeah, we all know you love a good Twitter frenzy, Oliver.
Yeah, so I don't know, but he's obviously scored 2 goals last season, not scored since September.
Yeah.
And you don't see him starting ahead of Maguire, certainly.
No. But I think if anyone thinks that he's going to come in and be our first choice striker, then they need to give the head a little wobble because it's clear.
I don't think anyone's sort of expecting that.
I don't know.
But it's just it's just strange to sign someone who's essentially going to be our third choice striker. Yeah. So obviously he said 2 goals last season. Someone told me that he was injured until September, but I heard today that he was only out 2 weeks.
Dave said in tweet that he was out until like September, October or something.
Can't remember who said it, but someone told me today he should be back in. Yeah, someone told me he should be back in 2 weeks. So, obviously he's not had much of a pre-season. I was looking at Nugent's league finishes in the last sort of 10 years, and in the last 10 years, I think he's had 9 seasons in the champ, and the lowest he's finished, I think, is 10th. and he's had
1 season.
Yeah, so he's had 3, 4, 5 playoff campaigns, and obviously he just brings experience to the dressing room, which is not going to be negative in any way. So on that side of things, you'd say it's quite promising, because when you get players have a knack of being in successful teams, which you can't put your finger on.
Well, Kevin Davis.
Yeah, which you can't put your finger on, but similar to Gally. Gally's had a similar sort of career.
Yeah, he has.
And obviously they're going to be linking up again. So I can understand both sides of it, to be fair. But I just wouldn't expect too much.
The thing that seems odd to me is that is he really someone that Alex Neil would have wanted to bring in, or is it more of like
something tells me it's sort of a more led club signing sort of thing.
Yeah, and odd. It is a bit weird in that regard, because I don't really remember about the last time that we like. I don't really remember the last time that we went out and made a signing without the manager, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the manager will have. Obviously, if he didn't want Nugent, he wouldn't come. He wouldn't be coming in.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
But it
I think
as a target that the manager would have sat down and said to Peter Ridsdale,
yeah,
I want to bring David Nugent in.
Yeah, but listen, I don't know, you see, because the thing is, the experience thing has been said literally every day. But then I've taken that as sort of Brad Potts type experience, Jordan Hugo type experience. And you'd sort of class Nugent as a journeyman now.
Yeah.
Which is not what I'd associate with Alex Neil. But it's just I don't know. It's just
he's one of them that if you sign him on footy manager, the press conference, you'd definitely get a question going, this is David Nugent's 12th club. Is he the kind of player you want to be bringing in? And you
and I think another important question is, if we signed a player who'd never played for us before, who'd had a good championship career but is now 34, he's lost a lot of his pace and he scored 2 goals last season, would fans be happy?
So definitely not.
So, and football cannot be a sentimental game if you want to do well.
No, it can't. But I think from time to time there is a bit of room for sentiment. Like Graham Alexander when he came back. No one remembers any of the other games that he played apart from that last one against Charlton when he scored the free kick.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a moment like that from Nugent, then you're buzzing, aren't you?
Yeah. I think what made that Alexander one more special, though, was I think people knew that he was retiring afterwards as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nugent's going to retire now, isn't he, with us?
Yeah, well, you never know.
Well, if he gets a 2-year deal, which is what people seem to be suggesting,
to
be 36.
Yesterday.
And then obviously you've got Gally, who's in a similar.
He'll be, I think, situation 5 when the season starts.
Yeah, so they're going to be at the club until the 35, 36. So it'll be nice for them to be fair to both retire at PNE if they do.
Well, like I said in my my piece that I published the other day about it would be nice to see them maybe move into a coaching role or some kind of role behind the scenes, because they're both massive fan favourites. And to keep them at
and you can just tell they're both massive characters as well.
Yeah,
like you can tell what Gally is like around a changing room. There can't be any negative value in sort of keeping them on as long as possible.
No, I don't see. I don't see any anywhere.
Obviously, I see Gally starting a lot more games because of the way he plays.
He gets away with it because his game isn't about pace.
Yeah, exactly. He just he gets people to do his running for him, pretty much. Which is fine, to be fair with me. But yeah, it's hard to say how many games you'd see Nugent starting.
Well, one thing's certain that he's not going to be starting enough games to get anywhere near what his career looks like at the moment, which is 152 goals in 435 appearances, mainly at Championship and Premier League level, which is
about 1 in 3.
Yeah,
Is it about 1 in 3?
It's a goal every 2.8, so yeah, near enough 1 in 3, which is around 16 goals over a 46 game season. Like I said, he's never going to get enough game time to replicate that. But
I'd be happy with 5 goals, me, and a bit of impact when we need it.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest,
Frank Lampard trusted him last season. He trusted him quite a lot, to be fair, to start games. Started a few big games.
He trailed off towards the end of the season, didn't he? But
and then he got injured. So
I think the other thing as well is he's never actually scored against us since he left.
Yeah, it's mad that. He never wants to score.
Yeah,
he's not.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you see him when he comes to Deepdale, and he looks.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was against, but I remember one game thinking, you look like you've missed that chance on purpose because you don't want to score.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I've been to Derby away the last three seasons, yeah, and I think he started all 3. And he's never looked like scoring once. And at the end of the game, he always comes over and gives us a little minute. Yeah. So I think it's probably always been in his mind to come back. And I suppose it's quite nice, to be fair, that it's happening. In a way, if I'm going to try and be nice for a minute, quite nice. So,
the little 13, 14-year-old teenage boy inside of me is absolutely buzzing at the thought of seeing him in an North End shirt again.
Obviously, the first appearance, I'm imagining the town end will be buzzing. So, yeah, as long as he's not the only attacking signing, then I'm coming round to the idea.
Yeah, I think the other thing to note as well is people go on about needing or wanting this 20 goal a season striker, but David Nugent is our highest scoring forward that I can remember at this level. And that was in the 2006-2007 season when he scored 15 goals in the league. I think he finished with 18 for the season. Obviously, one was in the Euro Championship qualifiers for England, and then he got 2 in the Cup as well.
Yeah.
But
so that's about on a par with what Robbo would have got and what Hugo would have got had they been here the full seasons. So yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he scores 10 goals. Like, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger things have happened.
So obviously, I hope it gets announced tomorrow, and then get all the frenzy out of the way and just start putting the ball in the net.
Hopefully.
So yeah, to be fair, I would say I was against it.
Would you?
When the do you think when the rumours came out?
I'd say you absolutely were against it.
Yeah, I don't know, just never go back. Sort of when you're 34, but it's obvious it's different to wanting Hugo back, obviously, because Hugo should be in his prime now.
Yeah.
But nah, to be fair, I'm looking forward to seeing him back. I hope he gets number 35 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Available.
I mean, they've already missed the trick by not announcing him on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't happen, to be fair.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, or it didn't happen before the game today. Still time tonight.
Or even.
So.
Well.
Who knows?
I mean, it is like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, who knows? Well, yeah, it's 10 o'clock now, so tomorrow.
Well, I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. I suspect it could drag on into next week, and we could see him on Tuesday
I don't see why.
Sat in the crowd again.
Yeah, maybe. I might go in that case.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I just like you said, I don't see why that would happen.
Yeah, but as I said, as long as it's not just Nugent, then I'll be happy with it. And leaves a question mark about Louis Malt as well.
Yeah, and I mean,
so who would you rather have?
Oh, no brainer. Yeah,
Nuge. Yeah.
Even if he never played.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people obviously call him King Louis.
I think part of that's tongue in cheek, though, isn't it?
Well, I know people who think he is genuinely the king, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather have Nugent as well, but I'm wondering who the Louis Malt fanboys would rather have.
Well, I'll give you one guess.
Quite an interesting question. No, it's quite an interesting question.
I
Obviously, Neil would rather have
I
Nugent.
reckon a few of them probably won't remember Nugent that much.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah, but
just have to wait and see what.
if you go into the season with Nugent, Stockley, and Maguire, then you'd say you're one short, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I think.
that leaves a Jordan Hugill-sized hole to fill.
Yeah, imagine Hugo and Nugent coming back. I'd actually be. It makes me a bit excited. That
I
to be
reckon
fair.
the club would sell probably
Hugo,
25 season tickets if they did that.
Hugo would be the missing. Yeah, as you say, just the icing on the cake.
For some, I mean, I don't want to go over old ground too much, but we mentioned in a previous episode of the pod, we ran some polls, didn't we, about whether fans would want to see him come back, and it was literally 50-50.
Yeah, which is fair enough, but 50% are wrong, aren't
they? Yeah. So. We'll let everyone else decide which of that 50% it is that's wrong. Cool. I reckon, unless you've got anything else, I reckon we're good.
No, all I'd say is welcome home.
Yeah, we'll finish on that. Welcome home.
Cool.
That is episode 6, ladies and gents. So thanks for listening to episode 6 of the From the Finney podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can tell your smart speakers at home that you want to listen to us, and they'll play you for you even. You can keep in touch with us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're going to start ramping up the amount of content that we're publishing on the website in the next few weeks as we build back up to the season. So yeah, thanks for listening, and thank you very much, Oliver.
Nice one, Jake. See you next week.
See you next week. Oh, before we go, we've got a special podcast next week. I'll leave it. I'll say something on social media. So yeah, make sure you find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and find out what the special pod is next week.
Sound.
Nice
one.
See you in a bit, mate.